fellow collectors, and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we are taking a look at the GoBot Guardians 3-pack from the Transformers Legacy United line from Hasbro. This is basically some repaints of some recent Mini-Bot Deluxes with Cosmos, Gears, and Warpath being repainted into GoBot Pathfinder, GoBot Smallfoot, and GoBot Treads, respectively. I will say the packaging, for the most part, is kind of boring, but I do love seeing the old GoBots logo again. I think that's really cool that they popped that right there on the front. These kind of close-up schematic, drawings of the robot modes, it's not really doing that much for me, to be honest. But got the Legacy United logo there on the top. Got the Autobot symbol over here. Have kind of, another close-up of the three robots on that side. The back is blank, nothing going on there. And then down here you just have, again, GoBot Guardian 3-pack, and it says GoBot Pathfinder, GoBot Smallfoot, and GoBot Treads. If we open this up, you can see they are just tied onto a piece of cardboard in there, so not a plastic tray or anything like that. Not the most exciting packaging, but it does make it easier to just throw away, which is always a good thing. So I'm going to go ahead, get these three out of the packaging, and we'll take a closer look. So here are three figures out of the box, and I wanted to get something out of the way up front. If you're like me and you didn't really know what was going on here, I was a fan of the GoBots when I was a kid. Certainly didn't like them as much as Transformers, but there was just something to their kind of more simplistic designs that I always thought was kind of quaint and fun. And if you don't know any of the history, obviously Hasbro went to Takara Tomy and licensed a bunch of Diaclone and Microman toys that eventually became Transformers. And Tonka went to Bandai and licensed Machine Robo, and that's what they brought over as GoBots. So there are three GoBots, Pathfinder, Smallfoot, and Treads, that look really nothing like this. I mean, Treads is a tank. That's about as close as that gets. And Smallfoot is, I guess technically they're all the same kind of vehicles, if we want to say that. But these are not the color schemes. Treads is kind of close, but these aren't the color schemes. They don't really resemble those characters. Like, these to me very clearly are just obvious Autobots in a new color scheme. And the reason for this, as it turns out, there was an e-hobby set years ago where they took 6 mini-bots, repainted them, I guess, however they thought they looked the coolest, and then gave them the names of GoBots. So that's kind of where this comes from. I found this graphic that's actually kind of a cool summation of everything from that e-hobby set, and I'll put it up so you can see everything here. The actual GoBots, like Pathfinder is black and gray, not blue and yellow. Smallfoot's kind of similar in color scheme. Treads is kind of similar in color scheme. But from what I've heard, the reason they didn't want to get too close was because, e-hobby was working with Hasbro and Takara Tomy for this set, but they couldn't use, the Bandai likenesses. So it gets kind of weird, right? So Hasbro owns GoBots because they assumed Tonka at one point. They bought out Tonka and acquired them. But the likeness rights of those original Machine Robo toys still belong to Bandai. And so they didn't know, how close they could get. So that's kind of why they could use the names, because they own the names. But they had to kind of paint them just whatever colors they wanted and not get too close to the Bandai likenesses. It's a whole rights thing. So these toys here are homages to that e-hobby set, not really so much the original GoBot set. And you can see in the graphic that we've already done Road Ranger from the Kingdom Huffer mold, which really nothing, like Road Ranger. Those colors are, again, wildly different. And we've also already done Bug Bite, from the, I guess, what was that, the Earthrise Cliff Jumper that we did 100 different things as. So, we've gotten most of this e-hobby team reference at this point. I think the only one we're missing is Bad Boy, and that's just because they haven't really done a Power Glide yet. Kind of surprised they haven't, but maybe one day they will. So I wanted to kind of get that information out of the way, because when I first saw these, I thought, well, the repaints are cool, but I don't really get it. I remember Pathfinder was one I had as a kid that I absolutely loved, and this looks not, I mean, they're both kind of space vehicles, and that's about it. So I wanted to kind of, in case anyone else was like me before I did all this research and had no idea what was going on, I wanted to kind of get that out of the way. Now let's dive in. I will say they're really cool repaints. I think they look good. I like these three figures a lot. I don't love the pink on the face of Smallfoot, but that comes directly from the eHobby figure, so like that's why they had to do it. But I just think orange and pink and red, it's kind of too much of that same side of the color wheel, and I wish they would have done something else for that color. But again, that was already kind of decided years ago. I think this blue and yellow Cosmos as Pathfinder, this color scheme is fantastic. I think he looks really sharp. I mean, it looks so much like Cosmos, just with the blue replaced from the green, that I just feel like, you know, Cosmos got like a Armada-style power-up halfway through the show. And now he's blue and yellow. But it's a great-looking color scheme. I think that's really cool. Now, the one thing I don't get, and I did try to do some research about this, you can see Treads has a Decepticon symbol. And to me, you know, if it's a Decepticon, wouldn't the GoBots equivalent of Decepticons be Renegades? Yet this is billed as a Guardian 3-pack, Guardians kind of being the GoBot equivalent of Autobots. And so I didn't really understand that. I kind of still don't. I looked up Treads, and apparently he was always a Guardian. I thought maybe he was switched factions at some point or something like that. But most of the research I found just said, yeah, he's a Guardian tank, and I don't know why this one would have a Decepticon symbol. Again, I think that comes from the eHobby set, but I don't get it fiction-wise, so if anyone knows that one, let me know in the comments, because I could not find an answer to that online. But yeah, they're fun little figures. I mean, we've seen all of these before. We saw Gears not too long ago, honestly, and I think Gears is a fantastic mold, and this is that exact same mold, just, you know, with a different color scheme here. I think the orange is cool. The orange and red isn't bad. Like I said, the pink, I feel like clashes too much. It's not terrible, but I just feel like that clashes a little bit too much. But, you know, articulation is going to be all the same that we've seen before. So you have a head swivel here, back and forth a little bit, side to side maybe slightly. You have that panel in the chest that opens up, so you can reenact that one episode, which I think is funny. Swivel here in the shoulder, hinge out to the side. Got a bicep swivel, which I have to say, that bicep swivel is like almost perfectly hidden. It almost looks like it's not there. Like, I know there is an obvious seam, but that looks like it could just be molding. I really like how that worked out. Double jointed elbow, mostly for the transformation, but great for articulation for robot mode. You have a swivel in the wrist, so you can move this side to side. Got a waist swivel. Nice kick forward. Nice kick back. Nice kick out to the side, although mine's really tight. Hopefully over time that'll loosen up a little bit, and you got a little bit of flashing there. We'll get that out of the way. Got a thigh swivel, 90 degrees in the knee, and then of course you got your ankle tilt. Not as much as you might want, but I feel like it's enough. It feels like it should keep good. Yeah, okay, so mine's just really tight. I just don't know why I guess it's, you know, better tight than loose, because they can loosen up a little bit over time, but you can't really tighten them up over time. You also have this like butterfly, which again is part of the transformation, but, you know, gives them great articulation in robot mode. So that is Smallfoot. Quality little guy there. Next up we'll check out Pathfinder here. I mean, again, it's Cosmos. I feel like there's not too much you haven't seen here, just some nice repaints, but this one I feel like looks the most like, you know, the character the mold is based on. Like, to me, this just looks like Cosmos. Like, when I look at this, like, okay, Smallfoot, Treads, I could kind of see them as other characters. When I look at this, I think because yellow is such a prominent color in this color scheme, as well as with Cosmos, and because the head is virtually unchanged, this just looks like Cosmos to me. But it's a really cool color scheme for him, and I do like it quite a bit. So again, the head. Now, this you can kind of, if you wanted to utilize this to get head movement, you could. That's the way he transforms. But really, just the head swivels from side to side. It can look up and down a little bit if you kind of hold this panel in place. Can look down a little bit, can look up. You have out to the side hinge and a swivel. You have a swivel and a hinge at the elbow. You have, I don't think this, now because this rotates into the forearm, you don't get a swivel in the wrist, unfortunately, but you do get a waist swivel, which again, I feel like is pretty well hidden. That almost looks like it's not going to swivel there, but it does. You can move these side skirts out of the way, kick pretty far forward, kick pretty far back. If we move all this out of the way, you can kick all the way to the side as well. Thigh swivel, 90-degree bend there at the knees. You got your ankle tilt. So again, really good figure. I thought Cosmos was great, and I think this repaint is also great because blue is my favorite color. So if you're going to replace green with anything, blue is the way to win me over. And all the paint on the chest looks really sharp as well. I love that Autobot symbol there. And then we have Treads, probably my least favorite from the grouping. Not because there's anything wrong with them. I don't know. The jury is still out for me on this Warpath mold. It's pretty good, and I do like the tank mode that you get when you're done transforming him. But there's a lot of kibble, and the back of the legs are kind of a mess to me, and I don't know. I don't know if it's mold degradation or what, but this guy didn't hold together in vehicle mode that much for me. But if you just put him on a shelf, I think he looks good. I think those red eyes really pop, which again screams villain to me, again with the Decepticon symbol, but they say he's a Guardian, so I'll go with it. Really nice rotation with the ball joint on the head, though. Up and down, really nice, side to side. Can even tilt side to side. You got a really nice hinge here out to the side with a rotation. You got his swivel and a 90-degree bend at the elbow. Wrist can swivel, which you'll have to do because actually when he comes in the packaging, this is actually out to the side and the fist is still facing forward, so you have to put that back and then rotate the hand. A little bit of kibble here hanging off the back of the forearm. Not that bad, not that big a deal. You have this little shield piece here, which you can peg on either here as kind of like a shoulder shield or onto the forearm as kind of like a shield like that. You have a waist swivel, which can be a little impeded by these pieces that kind of hang in the back here. Not much you can do about it. Kick out to the side, kick forward, kick back. Again, you start to run into that piece there. Got a thigh swivel, got a 90-degree bend, and then you got your ankle tilt. So they all have pretty much the same articulation, I would say. And it's a good little 3-pack. I'm also kind of bummed that Warpath doesn't have a gun, but like I guess he has the gun on his chest, so does he need one? That's why they gave him a shield, I get it. But I kind of wish they all just had traditional blasters. Also, I forgot to show off this little flag that Cosmos/Pathfinder here has. I don't know what this logo is. If anyone knows, feel free to tell me in the comments, but you can have him use it as a flag like this, or you can take this off and then it is just kind of a generic little blaster. So you can give him this, if I can peg it into one of his hands. There we go. And also he's kind of got these like blasters on the side of the hands that you could utilize. Kind of like how Hot Rod has those smokestacks on the side of the hand. So yeah, 3 really cool figures. I like them. I think these 2 are probably my favorite. And again, nothing's really wrong with Treads. Just somebody has to be my least favorite. It's just the nature of the game. It's a great color scheme, though. The gunmetal gray and the green with the red eyes looks really sharp. So just as a robot, I think he looks good. The transformation gets a little messy for me, and the tank doesn't hold together the best. But these guys, I think, too, are just, these are so good. The gears is such a simple transformation, but it's so perfect. And the vehicle mode looks great. Honestly, this is a really solid figure, I think. If you don't have some version of gears, you really should at least get gears, because that is a really solid figure that I've really, really come to enjoy. But let's go ahead and we'll get into their transformations. We'll start first here with Treads. I'm going to go ahead and just pop the shield piece off, and we'll come back to that later. You're going to start by kind of straightening out the arm here, and then you have this little piece that will swivel around like this and kind of clip into those little tabs on the back of the like tricep, and that's going to kind of straighten out the arm. You can kind of leave these here out to the side for a while. We'll come back to these towards the end, but you can kind of just leave these out here out of the way. Next, you're going to come, and this is the part that kind of I don't like the most, because so this is going to swivel downward, and then you have this piece here that kind of has to pass like inside of it, and it really can be a pain. And then like this has little notches that this has to fit into, and it doesn't always want to, but okay, so that's down and notched into place, and then you have to kind of push this through, but there's just not a great way to get to it. If I move the legs out of the way, let me use his little shield here to push this through. So you have to kind of push that through, and like it doesn't really like it, and you can see how like it's kind of popping off. Like it's honestly ready to pop right off of there. And then you have to get this piece additionally to swing out and fill in that space. So It's not a huge problem, but I just don't like the way that's done. It's hard to get to and access, and I feel like it's going to warp over time, but we'll see. For right now, you fill in that little gap and you're good to go. Next up, we're going to... Actually, we'll do this quick. So we're going to rotate this piece back, push... And this is really loose on mine. I didn't think it was supposed to go that far in, but I guess it is. But anyway, you want to pull that out. So that way now the inside's empty so that you can rotate the head inside and then close this back up. Come along. There we go. Okay, so now the turret is done and that can rotate side to side. So then you come down here to the legs, which are a bit of a mess. But we're going to start by kind of popping this section around. And then we can start to open this up, and then we're going to flip this up, and this will rotate around. So you have to kind of turn the leg at the thigh to the side, and then bring this around, flip this up. This will come like this, and then I think this spins around like this, if I'm not mistaken. I believe that, yeah, so that goes like that. So you end up kind of turning the leg all the way around. And I kind of wish, yeah, there is a way. Okay, that snaps in, I believe that snaps in like that. And then this is supposed to go up. Or you know what, I think maybe I've done, no, this is right. This goes here. This goes up like that and hooks onto that. So that's one leg done. So again, we are going to... flip this. This is going to spin around like that. This needs to... Hold on. I've done this wrong, I believe. This rotates out so that you can push this up. And then... this comes to the side, and this flips up. Is it like that? There we go. Okay, so yes, I have done this wrong. This fits into there. So that's how it should be. Okay, so let's look at this. This should be down here. I had this up like that, and that's wrong. So it should be like this. Then you're going to rotate these in so that they can peg in together. But before you kind of do that, you want to rotate this up and then kind of pop these just to the side enough that you can bring the arms in. And they will peg into the side. As you can see, there is a tab right there. So pop this to the side, bring this in. And then we bring this all in together. And then this all has to tab together like this. This goes like that. And there we go. Now it can be kind of difficult to get these two panels right here to go together. What I like to do is kind of move the turret to the side and then push underneath from my finger to get that all to line up. And then the one nice thing I really like is that you can use this. You can see there's two tabs here and there's two tab slots right there. And the same with right here and here. And this pops on here to really shore this up and keep that all together, because these don't stay together the best. Like, they stay together well enough, but using this piece really shores that all up and keeps it together. And I really appreciate that. So there is treads fully transformed in tank mode. Got some wheels underneath. It can roll decently. The turret can rotate side to side. I thought this was supposed to move, and it rotates up and down a little bit. But I thought it did more from what I remember, but I don't want to break anything. But yeah, so this can rotate side to side. It's a decent looking tank, and like I said, I think the color scheme works well for it. Let me zoom in here. Still don't understand the Decepticon symbol, but the gunmetal gray is really sharp. I think they did a nice job with the paint on that, and it works well with this shade of green. And it actually rolls pretty well. So yeah, pretty cool little tank mode there. Up next we have Pathfinder. I'm going to go ahead and remove the gun. And then we can start by just going ahead, straightening out the arm and rotating the hand into the forearm. Repeat that on the other side. Then you are going to lift up. You can kind of see how there's this yellow piece is like a U. You're going to kind of unhook that. So there's a little tab right there that it hooks around, and I'll show you over here a little bit more on this one. So you can see right there, you're just going to unhook that from this tab right here, which is nice. And it keeps it together really nicely. Then you're going to be able to rotate this all the way down. You can flip this panel out like that. The whole head, you just push down on the front, and it just rotates right inside. Hides away very nicely. You can get these out of the way. You're going to take the foot and use the ankle tilt to be able to... Actually, I forgot a step. First, we have to come back here and unhook this and bring this around. Do that on both sides. Then utilize the ankle tilt to clear that, because if you kind of do it straight away, you can see you're going to hit into that. So utilize the ankle tilt to get the clearance. Then you can bring it back. And then you can just go ahead and peg these two together here, like so. You're going to take this section. You can see this yellow piece right here. That's going to completely spin around and then push against the body. And then you can kind of bring this section here. But before you do that, what I find to be easier is to grab a hold. You can see where the blue section meets the yellow. That's going to pop back and then rotate that back while rotating the legs. And then that's going to be able to bring this all the way in and bring this as close as possible to the body. And then you can rotate this section back down. You can see that there's a big old tab slot right there, and there's a big tab here on the leg. So this just comes right down and tabs into place on both sides. And then you're just going to rotate this till that goes all the way down like so. And then this big tab right there is going to tab in there on the side. And I've unclicked the head, and then just line that up. So again, rotate this down, tab that in, and you should be good to go. I feel like this side always gives me trouble, and I don't know what I'm doing wrong. There we go. That's in. There we go. I don't think I had that piece rotated back fully. There we go. There is Pathfinder, aka Cosmos, in his blue space shuttle mode, which I really like. I like the different shades. You have the darker blue and the lighter blue. You don't have really any yellow in this, but you have that beautiful silver there with the Autobot symbol. A little bit of red on top. I think it's a good color scheme. A lot of yellow on the bottom here. And then if you want, you can go ahead and peg the gun here on the side. Or you can take the flag and pop this back in. And I believe this can tab on the side here. No, I guess not. Maybe I made that part up. For some reason, I thought there was a tab here on the side that could tab in. I think this can tab in on the back here. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. No, I made that up too. I thought there was some way to attach the flag so that it could be up in flag mode, and I'm just forgetting it completely now. But, I mean, you can definitely tab it here on the side. But either way, I've always liked this mold, and I thought the little UFO here is a very cool little transformation, and it looks great in these colors. Last but certainly not least, we have Smallfoot. So once again, I'm going to take the gun out of the hand. And transformation is really quite simple. And that's what I really love about this mold. It's just so good. So you can start by kind of flicking this chest panel up as you bring this down. And that's going to be out like that. Then you're going to flip out these wheels and just let that hang there for a moment. That will allow you to bring the arms up with those double jointed elbows. And then utilize those butterfly joints I talked about earlier to tuck them all the way inside like so. Get inside there. There we go. This section here is going to rotate back, and then you're going to flip out these wheels as well. Once these are tucked in, you can see that there are little tab spots right here on the top of the shoulders. This is going to come up, and these tabs here are going to drop down right in there. So there we have that. And that is basically the entire front section of the vehicle mode. Then we're just going to come down here, straighten out the legs, flip out these little sections here on the bottom of the feet. And then this is just going to flip all the way around and fill in that empty section there, like so. Do that again. And then the last step is to just bring this up. You can see that there are 2 tab slots right there and 2 tabs on the thighs. So that's just going to come up, and then this just kind of covers up the back here. And there we go. There is Smallfoot, aka Gears. I just love this mold. I just think it's so fun. It transforms really well. I love the way it transforms. Very clever, yet simple. It looks good. You can take the gun, you can peg it into the sides here, because it does have that magazine, so unfortunately you can't peg it in on the top. But you can peg it in here on the side, you can peg it in there on the side, either of these. Now if you did on the other side, obviously it would have to be upside down because it only has a peg on one side, but you could do it. Actually, it kind of lines up perfectly with the contour of his foot right there. That kind of works. But yeah, very fun little mold. I like this quite a bit. You have this light orange here with a little bit of red. Autobot symbol there on the front looks pretty good. Gets a little lost in the black. Maybe an outline of white might have been nice, but not a big deal. Nice silver paint here on the front. The red paint also looks pretty sharp. Yeah, all in all, I really like this mold, and I think this is a pretty fun little repaint. I think this is a pretty fun 3-pack. I mean, they're 3 good molds, they're 3 good repaints, and I'm happy to add these to the collection. But for me, personally, if we're going to do GoBot homages, I wish that they were more homages that closely resembled the original toys, and not so much eHobby's interpretation of them from years ago. I get that there's legality stuff, you know, it's kind of like how Hasbro owns the name GoBots and the names of the GoBots, but Bandai still owns those Machine Robo designs, so they can't get too close. And I understand the legalities of all that. But to me, these are not really GoBots. These are kind of just mini-bot repaints that happen to have GoBot names that eHobby came up with a while ago, and doesn't really invoke the same feel of the original GoBots. Like, if you had given me this mold but painted black and gray with a Pathfinder looking head, I would be in it all day. I would have been so excited, and I would be buying up as many of these as I could. Now, the thing that I don't get is we have, like, Crasher from Mirage, and that's okay, because that is, like, the head and the color scheme of the original toy. But we can't do something similar here. And I just think that's weird, and I don't really understand that. But again, I'm not a lawyer. So, at the end of the day, I think this is a fun 3-pack. It doesn't hit me in nostalgic feels for GoBots as much as I wanted it to. But it's 3 cool repaints of 3 good toys. So, that's what I'll say. Is it hitting all the nostalgia of GoBots for me? Not really. Is it just 3 cool repaints of 3 good toys? Yes. So take that with what you will. And, you know, your mileage, I think, is definitely going to vary as far as this goes. Did you have that original eHobby set? Maybe this will be more nostalgic for you. I never knew that even existed or happened. I just knew the original GoBots. So when I first saw this advertised, I was kind of like, that's not GoBots. What? I'm very confused. And then I figured it out. But, yeah, it just doesn't... I don't know. Like I said, the disconnect for GoBots is there for me, and I wish it wasn't, because I think if there was more nostalgia tied to it, I would enjoy this even more. But they're still good. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and as always, thank you so much for watching.